So tell us about the word elevate and what that means to you.
First, I think it sounds so simple. And then I start to think about what does it mean to me? And I just think elevate is this great word about how do you go from good to great?
It means to stretch for me.
According to Google, elevate means to raise to a more important or impressive level.
Elevate at its core means to raise up, to rise up. And I think that is a fantastic word of the year, both, at Broad River and, in my own personal life.
I think about all the good that we do, and then I remind myself, well, how can we make it better?
So stretching to overcome adversity, stretching to be more unified, stretching to ensure that folks feel that they can show up to work and be their most authentic selves.
And then another meaning is to raise or lift something to a higher position. So what's not to love, right?
And so when I think about elevate, I just think it's that moment. It's now that you're getting good and you've warmed up, how do you just blast off and go to the next level?
Yeah, you touched on a lot of themes there that I want to pull the thread on. That's really good. I really think about good to great a lot as well. That's the phrase that you used. I think about Jim Collins' book, really good companies, but how did they really kind of have that breakthrough and go to sustainable great companies? And there's a great book. We did have a good year last year, right? I mean, we got best places to work in 2022, in furniture, one of only 10 companies. And that was an unbiased research methodology. We got the Chairman's Award, which we're really proud of, humbled by that. And we pursue the AFL every year, the Ashley Furniture League, and we're competing with several great companies. And so we were awarded that for only the second time ever in our company's history. And so I really think and then you did a lot of great things within MMX. We had Project MMX. What are 2 or 3 of the initiatives that you thought really landed last year that went really well?
Yeah, probably one of my favorites was Thrive in Purpose. We watched our Purpose series grow year over year, but Thrive in Purpose it was different. It was 12 different series, and every series we came together to just talk about how can we help our memory makers thrive, but not just professionally, personally. And so as we went through that journey and the feedback that we got was just incredible, and to hear the stories of how it impacted our memory makers is probably one of my favorites. When I look back at last year, and I think last year was really this year we listened in our engagement survey the fall prior, but then we took a lot of actions in 2022. So when I think about new parent time off, which we talked about last year before it was a thing, and Thrive time off, I think those are just really good examples of how we said, we can continue to be better. We can continue to grow. And really, how do we take the word thrive and just showcase it all year long, beginning to end?
Love it. And is elevate the right word for Broad River for 2023?
Absolutely. I think elevate embodies who we are at this moment. I've been around a while and I've seen the evolution of the word of the year, and I feel like elevate just makes sense. From the very first time you and Manny presented it to the leadership team, it was it. It wasn't something I had to think about. It made sense. I just thought of who is Broad River today? Where do we want to go? What do we aspire to be? And elevate is it.
Love it. Okay, MMX, the growing MMX team. What does the word elevate mean for you and for your team?
Yeah, it's really exciting for our team. So last year was the first full year that we had a Memory Maker Experience department. So we go into year 2. And I think again I'm really proud of what we did in 2022. As a new department, a little bit of this unknown, people don't have Memory Maker Experience departments. And so I think about that. And then I think bigger picture. So Memory Maker Experience falls under the Human Capital umbrella. And I'm really proud to be a part of Human Capital. And back in December 2022, our Human Capital leadership team got together and we spent 2 days really thinking about who do we want to be? What does 2023 look like for us? And we created our vision. So our Human Capital vision for 2023 is to elevate the experience for all memory makers.
Wow.
And I love that because I love all memory makers. And so when I think about that, this is what human capital's vision is. And then where does Memory Maker Experience fit? We have a lot of good programs. We've done a lot, but what it means for my team this year is to continue to push ourselves, to continue to just be unwavering on how our memory makers feel. Are they cared for? Are they valued? Are they appreciated? Like, I'm never going to give up on that. So we continue to talk about programs and what we have coming, some really new and exciting programs that Broad River's never seen, really elevate the Memory Maker experience.
Well, that's a great segue. Let's talk about some of those programs and some of the initiatives. People don't know what MMX means. Yeah. So what is like learning and development, recognition, celebration, and on and on and on? Talk about the programs that you are really responsible for within MMX, and maybe just touch on within your department how you're looking to elevate in 2023 beyond the first full year with Project MMX and the first full year of the MMX department.
Yeah, MMX is really special. And years ago, MMX would have been learning and development. And as our company continued to grow, we started to see all these different people areas and development areas that really spanned outside of learning and development. And so MMX was born, and we see this kind of the MMX umbrella. So we cover all the way from the minute that somebody says yes. They've accepted that job. And in my world, I think once you say yes to Broad River, you're a memory maker. And so MMX starts in the onboarding experience from the very beginning when you're doing, drug and background and all those things. That's a really important experience. So we're onboarding, we're learning and development, we're recognition, celebration, diversity, equity, and inclusion, purpose, and so engagement, everything that bubbles to truly, I believe, the whole life cycle of a memory maker at Broad River.
And you talked about day zero. I know there's also a lot of intentionality around day one. And then you mentioned earlier, or it was mentioned, the Thrive and Purpose campaign. But what's in store for 2023 for continuing learning and development, enhancement, or an elevated approach?
Yeah. So there's 4 things I'm really excited about this year. So, and some of these might be like a little bit of a sneak peek for you. So, number 1, diversity, equity, and inclusion. We know that's a hot topic in the world, in the workplace.
It's an important topic too.
An important topic, huge. But that also means we're not just going to go and do it to do it. We're going to do it, and we're going to do it right for the memory makers at Broad River. So I'm really excited about what's to come in 2023 around inclusion and belonging.
Okay.
I&B, and Ariel, who works on the MMX team, has put just tons of heart and passion behind what will come from I&B. And this is really diversity, equity, and inclusion made for Broad River.
Got it.
And fits Broad River. The next one is talent management. So we all know talent acquisition, what it means to hire somebody. But how about once they're a memory maker? And so we're working on talent management, our talent philosophy, which will be unveiled here in 2023. And so performance reviews and one-on-ones and that development opportunity, succession planning, all really important to, you're a memory maker now. Where do you go? Where do you grow? We talked about Thrive and Purpose. And so for me, the Purpose series is something just really internal to me that's changed my life. And so for 2023, we have Elevate Your Purpose. And so Elevate Your Purpose is going to look different. This will be in person. We'll do these quarterly, some bigger names, some names that our memory makers may know, and some new names. And so we continue down this topic of personal purpose and company purpose, furnishing life's best memories. How do they work together? And how do you navigate your journey? For some people, purpose is new. For others, they're continuing on this journey or elevating that purpose. And then lastly, for my department, and this is just truly personal to who I am, is really just pouring into the MMX team. I just am honored and humbled every day. I say it, and lots of people probably say it. I just have the best team that there is. And I believe that so deep in my heart. And just to continue to pour into them, to inspire them, to motivate them, to push them, to elevate their careers. They're so good at what they do. And I see these bright futures. And so for me, 2023 and elevating has to be about, how do I help them grow? How do I get them to the next level, professionally and personally?
Wow, you must be a great leader to work for. How many people are on your MMX team,
We have a team of 12.
including you?
Correct.
That's a vibrant, growing team who really cares deeply about our memory makers and the memory maker experience and how to continue to enhance it and elevate it across all corners. One initiative you didn't mention, which I'd love to pull the thread on a little bit, is back in the fall of 2021, we did a full-blown engagement survey.
Yes.
And then from the best places to work survey, we got a lot of great feedback. And then every time we do a meeting or a town hall, one of our secret sauce elements, which we'll share here, is we're a feedback culture. We're always getting feedback. Let's always try to learn. And I'm sure that's going to be in your one-on-one and performance review experience, more and consistent feedback. But we just did a pulse survey, and we had super good engagement in terms of completing that. So what are your thoughts on the pulse survey, and how will that help to elevate our memory makers and their experience, and talk to us a little bit about the stats and what your thoughts are on the pulse survey. And what is a pulse survey?
Yeah, so we did our first full-scale engagement survey, and it was really robust. Now, we took that survey and we launched our campaign. We heard you. And we did so many great things in 2022, but I just don't want it to stop there. And I want our memory makers to always feel like we want to hear from them, and we do, and the door is open. But the pulse survey that went out in February was just to kind of get that pulse on how are we doing. So it was quick and it was easy. It took about 2 minutes to complete, 7 questions total. And it was just to ask, hey, since then, where do you think we are on various topics like DE&I? How do you feel? Do you feel valued as a memory maker? And so we had 86% completion rate on this survey, which blew all of my goals out of the water, for 86% of our population to take the time to sit down, to tell us how we're doing and provide really thoughtful feedback. That's incredible. And so with it, we get the feedback on those questions. We also had an open forum, so they were welcome to add any additional feedback. And the comments that we got are just incredible. I've read all of them. You will read all of them, and Manny and our leadership team, to really hear from our memory makers. And what I love about our company is we're going to read every one of them, probably more than once. And we're going to go back to it and we're going to think about it. And it's going to continue to challenge us with how do we elevate ourselves in 2023 and really beyond. And then we'll come back this October. And so October will be we'll go back to that full engagement survey.
Absolutely. Okay, events. I just want to go a little bit deeper on events.
Okay.
We had our annual awards gala this past January, celebrating 2022 at Bank of America Stadium, the Panthers Den, I believe. Yeah. And it was our first time to be back in person in 3 years. Last year, we had the first time ever Home Furnishings Expert Soiree and Premier Partners event in August. And we've had Purpose 828. We also had a sleep summit, a 3-day sleep summit with a special featured guest and speaker. What do you have in store this year? Like, what can you let the cat out of the bag a little bit? Like, how do you enhance the sleep summit or elevate the sleep summit? Are we going to do Purpose 828? Is there another annual awards gala in the mix? Another soiree? What are your thoughts on any of those topics?
Yes, and yes. I have found at Broad River, I have this newfound love and passion for event planning that I never knew I had before I came here. Yes, to all of those. I think about where we were at the gala in 2020. And I just thought that was like the top of the world. Like, how could I ever outdo this event? Our people were so happy. There was so much love. And then we came back this year. And so as we come back to in person, which is still a little scary for people, how do we make it comfortable? How do we elevate? And so I just actually finished wrapping walkthroughs last week for Sleep Summit. And so I'm really happy to share that we're going to a new venue for Sleep Summit 2023. When I use the word elevate, it's really elevated, and it's just a different experience. So continuing to challenge ourselves on the soiree, it was great. How can it be better this year? Purpose 828 was one of my favorite days at Broad River, and now that you and I have had the conversation of, hey, Purpose 828, that gets me excited for how many people work for us today that never saw those events, that weren't there. I want to show them what that looks like, how it feels, and how truly Broad River it is.
And when you think about your department, it's a big department. I don't know how large our human capital department is now, but there's a lot of different functions from MMX, from onboarding, from payroll, from benefits, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. How large is the department, roughly?
So roughly now we are sitting at around 41 memory makers.
That's a lot of people.
It
That's
is.
a lot of memory makers.
It is.
And so how do you think about elevating within your department for 2023?
A business writer by the name of Tom Peters.
I know Tom.
Yeah.
I don't know him personally.
Right. Well, he stated that leaders don't create more followers. Leaders create more leaders.
Okay. Love that.
Yeah. And that is something that I am trying to instill into my team.
Okay.
And for them to, cascade that or decentralize that down to their folks.
So you're really trying to elevate your team and your
Absolutely.
leaders.
Yes.
And so what does that look like? Is it like an empowerment? Is it putting them in position to challenge or stretch themselves?
Absolutely. And first and foremost, Charlie, is trust. I want my team to know that I trust them. I trust in their capability. I trust that in their decision making. And I trust that they are going to take care of not just themselves, but also everyone around them.
Okay. And we've got 1,000 moving parts at any given moment in time, Jocelyn. And there's a lot of inbound inputs and information coming at you, especially coming at all of our people. We've got nearly 1,000 memory makers. So what are some of the things that, if you had to say, what emerges like to the top of your list of things you're most looking forward to or think they're going to have the most impact in terms of elevating within human capital in 2023?
Well, first of all, it's all about prioritizing. And second, it is developing what I call my generals. If I am the chief of staff, so to speak, or the commander in chief, so to speak, then I have to make sure that my generals are developed and I am continuously developing them so that, of course, they can have an impact on their team members.
We've got some great generals.
Yes, I do.
And
yes,
I'm
I
passionate
do.
about leadership development. What are some, I know you guys recently did a strategic offsite. What are some of the other ways that you're going to go after leadership development to elevate in 2023?
So one of the things that I have, since I've been here, I've evaluated that we need to really train our managers, educate our managers in the areas of employment law. We're not trying to train them to be attorneys, but they do need to understand the fundamentals so that they can perform best in their role. Also, how to performance manage. I think there's a lot of opportunity there to teach our managers how to effectively, manage their people's performance and to understand there's a difference between coaching and counseling and what is that difference and what does it look like. So I want to bring in some simulations, some case studies, vignettes, things to really get folks involved in understanding the how to. We talk about playbooks, and oftentimes the playbook will tell you what it is, what the play is, and why the play is important. But a lot of times we don't help folks understand how to run the play. And that's, I believe, is where I come in. It's not just teaching the what and the why, but how.
Oh, I love that. That's really good because that's what practice is all about.
It is.
I mean, you go to practice to go practice the plays in the playbook and to run, and it's got repetition. And it sounds like what you really articulated well is you did some assessment, some gap analysis, and there were some foundational gaps that we really need to go make sure that we're really good at.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. We want our folks to be successful, and people need to have the right tools to put in their toolbox. And with having that, then I think that they will be able to perform at the optimal level. And that's what we want to see.
So Jocelyn, we just launched a pulse survey and we had 86% of our total memory maker population complete that survey. Our previous survey was in the fall of 2021, which was a full-blown engagement survey with hundreds of pages of notes, which then became a campaign to implement the things that we were going to address from that engagement survey throughout 2022. So talk to us about what is a pulse survey, what are some of the initial learnings, and what are we going to do with the pulse survey feedback? What are your thoughts on the pulse survey in terms of how it's going to help us elevate?
So really it's a temperature check, right? It's just a pulse check. So we devised 6 questions, and they were related to different categories, such as diversity, equity, inclusion, and culture. So with that information, we will be able to determine, okay, what's next? So what are the areas that we need to target? Not just from, an organization standpoint, but also departmentally. So I think the learning from that's something that we should continue to do. It will give us a better idea as far as, what is it that we need to do future state, current state and future state.
That delta of like where we are today and where we want to be.
Right. But I think that we also have to be very transparent as well. If there are areas that the company will need more time to figure out or adjust or stretch or grow, then I think that we have to tell our folks that. I think oftentimes employers are seen as, you can do it all. Why can't you do this? And I think we have to tell them it's not that we can't, we just may have to go about it a different way. But I think that based on the information that I read, and I read every single comment, Broad River has such an amazing culture and people love to work at Broad River. So we want to celebrate that and we want to capitalize on that. But I think action planning is also very much important too, because people want to know, okay, if I gave you this information, provided this information to you, I was transparent in my thoughts, now what?
Yeah.
So I think each department leader is responsible and accountable to go back, maybe form an action planning committee to determine, okay, this was our top detractor. With that, now what should we do?
Yeah.
What should we implement? How do we go about that? And it shouldn't just be the leader that's maybe, leading that charge. It should be, individuals, memory makers, from all levels within that department to partake in that, because everybody should have a say.
Yeah, I love that. So in one of our executive strategy sessions, when we were talking about our focus of the year, Elevate, and by the way, we talked about this concept of being an entrepreneur, with being an entrepreneur within the company, which is another word of saying that is an intrapreneur. Do you feel empowered to be an entrepreneur within human capital this year?
I do. I think that, I've been empowered with autonomy, which is very important to me. And the more that I can get, I'm always appreciative of that.
And then if I can just pivot that real quickly to, you helped us come up with these to synthesize what our areas of focus are, right? We were just like, well, we're just going to be entrepreneurs. And you're like, but what's the commonality? And so as you were asking these questions, these 4 themes kind of emerged. Okay, everything's got to hit a financial component. That's a cornerstone. Innovation is something our leader said we've got to continue to innovate, which is also a core value. That's a cornerstone. The guest experience, we called it the customer experience. That has to be one of the cornerstones. And customer satisfaction is also one of our 5 core values. And then we talked about a continuation of Project MMX, which has worked really well, which is focusing on the memory maker experience. So as you think about being an entrepreneur and then locking in on one of these 4 or multiple of these 4 cornerstones, how do you internalize that? How do you think that will serve us well to kind of unite us and unify us as each leader is an entrepreneur within their organization, within their department?
Yeah. So, when you think about innovation, we're trying to implement more HR technology. Okay. And of course, this will make everyone's lives a lot easier. So, applicant tracking system, HRIS system, something that, we believe that is going to, that is future facing and it's going to evolve, Broad River, more so into the future. The other part would be, the tie into the financials. So of course, we always want to increase our retention. Increasing retention is ultimately reducing turnover. Yeah. And then, we are launching or relaunching the referral program. So we believe that, that's got some teeth to it. So that should definitely, help us in bringing in top talent.
Yeah, there's definitely savings in retaining more of your people and developing your leaders so that they've got a path to grow. And promoting from within is a great way to build culture and reduce costs. And in this day and age, where we're in choppy waters right now, financial component is a huge cornerstone to have.
It is. And, we're kind of running, 2 work streams. We've got the talent acquisition side that is, constantly looking for, best in class top talent for us and all their initiatives that they've put in place to do that. Again, the referral program. Everybody wants how to be a recruiter and really teaching our department leaders, how to recruit for top talent, revamping job descriptions. So again, just a slew of different projects. And then you have the talent management side, which is really more internal facing. And we have this talent management work group that comprises of, our top leaders, some of our top department leaders, and they're coming together to figure out, okay, so what is our talent philosophy? What does that look like? So, of course, you'll hear more about that later.
I'm excited about that. I'm also super excited about the leadership development work that you all are doing. That's going to be super exciting. I think leadership will drive companies. We'll grow as far as our people will take us.
Yes, absolutely. And I think, we're going to roll something out as far as develop something that will a program for all of our memory makers. Okay, so leadership development, yes, but also what about development for everyone in the organization that they can benefit from? Because everybody wants, I won't say, people want to be developed.
Absolutely.
Okay, and that way they have control over their growth.
Well, we have to be a learning and development organization, and the more we do that, the more the tide raises raises all boats and raises all people, and then that will raise the company. And we love to say your success is our scorecard when you're here, and we want all of our memory makers to be super successful during whatever time their seasons are here at the river.
Yes.
So within human capital, how do you elevate? How are you and your team going to take this approach to be an entrepreneur within your area, your sphere of influence, and really elevate in 2023?
Right. And I'm sure you'll hear it from the rest of us on the human capital team. We have crafted our own vision for 2023, and that is to elevate the experience for all of our memory makers. So to do that, we have, of course, a long list of deliverables for this year. More specific to my team, we will really overhaul our HC policies, our memory maker handbook. We're looking at all of our internal processes to make them more efficient. We are our business partner team. We have 2 business partners, and Nate, who's our generalist. They are working right now on designing and delivering compliance training that will be delivered to all of our leadership throughout the year. Benefits, that's also in my world. Danielle's working on a benefits education and awareness campaign. We will focus heavily on wellness this year for our memory makers. There's so much I could just go on forever.
No, I love that. I love that. That's great. What are some of your favorite ones or ones that you haven't mentioned?
Sure. Probably, I think my favorite, it might sound a little boring, is the compliance training, because I think that's such a need for our leadership, just to give them, more information, more knowledge to be able to manage their teams, better. So we're really excited about that.
Well, when I think about compliance, training, I really think of like the measure twice, cut once. And so just taking more care because sometimes if you don't have that compliance training, it's going to cost you a lot more time, energy, or resources on the backside. So it's just preventative maintenance.
Absolutely.
So what does the word elevate mean to you and your team?
To me, for my team, I want to continue to grow and develop them, give them, additional opportunities, whether it be stretch projects or, observing other areas in the HC team. We are focused really, I think a team as a whole, but specifically my group too, on really changing the narrative of human capital at Broad River Retail. Obviously, especially business partners, there's an aspect to their roles that we have to enforce the rules, right? But we want to be seen as so much more than that. We want to be partners with our leadership, with our memory makers. We want to be that support system for them, help them grow and develop, just help them get the most out of their experience here at Broad River, and just be seen, we're not the police officers as we walk through the door. We want happy smiles when we come in.
Love that.
So, yeah.
Well, let me give you a chance to talk about your team. Like, who are your direct reports? Talk to me about your team specifically.
Sure. It's grown recently too.
I hear that a lot.
Yes. So I have, we'll start with payroll. So we've got LaToya McCord, who is our senior manager of payroll. She's been here about 6-8 months, I think now, and is doing really great. Under her, we've got Crystal Cannon and Crystal Pope. So they are our fearless payroll team, work day in and day out to make sure our folks are paid. We've got Danielle Boulder, who's our benefits manager. And then we've got several on our, I guess we want to call them our human capital field team. And those are our business partners, and Nate's our generalist. So we've got Jasper Benton out in Fort Oaks. And recently we hired John Hamilton also. And then Nate, of course, is actually he started out as an intern here at Broad River, and he's recently been converted and promoted to a generalist.
Love that.
So really great story there. Rhonda Burns she's been promoted to a senior manager of compliance and risk management. That's where the team has grown. We have just taken over safety and loss prevention. So now we've got, 8 team members spread out throughout our DCs on the LP team. And we've got Liz, who is another intern on the human capital team. She's been rotating through several areas of our department, just finished up her benefits rotation, did a great job, and she's now over with Karuna and more of the data analytics and reporting side. I hope I hit everybody there.
I'm trying to keep up. So there's payroll, benefits, business partners, risk, safety, management, and then there's the data analytics.
Yes. Karuna, that's separate. Okay. Karuna reports into Jocelyn, but is, a huge part of our team also. And that's where Liz has kind of shifted over now to learn there.
That's a lot of spinning plates to kind of keep straight at any given time, and making sure that we onboard people correctly, we grow them properly, we give them a path, and we nurture them, we care for them, we celebrate them, because we say your success is our scorecard here at the River. We want to see them successful, and we want to make sure that they understand what they can do, can't do, so that they can do more of what they can do and less of what they can't do, and then make sure that we always address things promptly, because in any kind of family, there's always kind of things that you have to resolve, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Sometimes there's disagreements, and so there's always something to resolve. Anything else you want to talk about how you're looking to elevate within human capital in 2023, Chrissy, that you haven't already mentioned?
I think a big one is technology. We're really taking a strong look at different options out there. We do believe that if we could get, some better technology, we could provide, better data, analytics, reporting, especially to you and Manny, to leaders in all departments, which will help them elevate their teams as well.
Well, I really love that, because, our 4 cornerstones, which are financial, innovation, customer experience, and the memory maker experience, you're hitting on 2 or 3 of these at any given time within the areas of focus. So that's great. I'm sure you're going to come out successfully and take this to the next level this year with a really strong, robust, vibrant, growing team. But as leaders, we have to go first.
Yes.
Why is Elevate right for right now for Broad River for 2023?
Yeah. First of all, I don't think I've ever told you this, but I love how Broad River has a word of the year. I've worked a lot of places and I've never had something like that. And it's really cool how the year's initiatives tie back to that word. And last year, our word was thrive, and we did a really good job. And I kind of equate it to a flower almost, or a plant, and we thrived. It is out there, it is growing, but how do we make it better? How do we make it grow more? How do we expand the garden? And that's kind of what elevate means to me. We're elevating our garden. It's living, it's breathing, it's growing. How do we make it better?
You hit on a lot of things that I really like. I love the garden metaphor. Dan Pontefract's coming out with a book called Work Life Bloom, and there'll be some garden metaphors in there. So that's what you just made me kind of connect to. But yeah, it's not really just a word of the year.
Yeah.
It's a holistic campaign that's got to be threaded throughout every department and every action. It's got to be a lot of intentionality and thoughtfulness into it. And so that's what when we approach our year of purpose, or even before that, our premier year, or even before that, our impact year in 2017. So you go impact, premier, purpose, united, all in. Then you go to forward together in the heart of the pandemic, going forward in the fog, but we're going there together. And then you go with thrive and how we thrive. And now pulling that, okay, so where do we go from here?
Right.
And how do we really make this thing bloom? And are you a gardener, by the way? I don't know. You came with that metaphor.
I'm trying to be. My mom bought me I live in an apartment, but for Christmas I got one of those in-home herb gardens.
Yeah.
So you'll see it if I'm ever working from home. It's in the back of my video.
I love that.
So we'll see. Hopefully I'm good. I've never really tried. So
well, it's a great reminder to keep things growing and vibrant and keep elevating.
Right.
Okay, talent is such a key piece. And we've come through a really crazy season during COVID of talent and labor management, and the labor market, and especially in our markets, are still very hot. And so managing labor has got to be a constant battle and a constant shifting. Okay, is it up? Is it down? And where are we pulling our candidates from? How do you think about elevating within talent acquisition. Or let me ask you this: what does it mean to talent acquisition? And let's start there.
Yeah, and I mean, talent acquisition is a big part of human capital. So I guess we'll start there. And I know you've talked to some other people on my team, so I'm sure they told you, our vision is to elevate the memory maker experience for all memory makers. What people don't understand is that starts from first contact. There's that saying, it's hard to get a bad taste out of your mouth, and that's true. If there's a bad candidate experience, it's hard to get that back. And, you need to start with the right foot, put the right foot forward. And if there's not a good candidate experience, then it's going to be really hard to make sure the memory maker experience is good, because they'll still have that lingering thoughts in the back of their head. So we are elevating our candidate experience, but you are right. It's been a whirlwind of the past couple of years. I think COVID pushed talent acquisition 10 years into the future faster than it should have. So we've really had to adapt and kind of roll with how the market is changing. And there are quite a few ways that we've been doing that, which I'm sure we'll get into, but it has been a crazy past couple years.
Yeah, you hit on a lot of great metaphors there. And you're right. If you don't have a great candidate experience, it's going to be really hard to overcome that. Yeah. So we talk a lot about day one, but really what you're talking about is all these pre-day one experiences, which we call day zero. That's why we invite candidates to our town halls and we say, hey, this is your day zero. And that's become a thing in and of itself. We asked during interviews, how's your candidate experience been? And we get raving reviews. We ought to measure that and score that, because their experience starts with us in that candidate process, because you know what? The referral could come from the candidate who didn't take the job or get the job, but had such a great, pleasant experience. And you guys do a great job with that. Well, let's get into what you were just talking about.
Yeah.
How are you going to elevate the talent acquisition department in 2023?
Yeah, there's a lot. I feel like I could talk to you about this for the next 8 hours and still have more to go over.
I don't know if our podcast listeners would hang on. That'd be a mini series. Yeah. But let's condense it down, because we do want to hear.
Yeah. So I think biggest right now is our referral program that launched earlier this week, actually. So we reinvented the entire program. We really got feedback from our memory makers, from other people in human capital. I went to our competitors and, saw what they were doing and what was working for them. And we're hoping to see a lot more success. It wasn't in the past what I would call super successful. But I think with this program, we're going to see the results that we want. So that's one huge area that I've been focusing on the beginning of this year. The other two areas that we're really going to focus on for, our elevation this year is going to be engagement and technology. So my team really wants to get out there more, and there's a lot of different avenues we're doing to do this. We have connections at colleges. We're going to Wingate in a couple weeks to help participate in their mock interviews for their graduating seniors. And building upon those relationships is going to be huge, because it's not recruiting how it used to be. It's not, here's a position, here's a person, fill it. We're having to go after passive candidates, build the relationships. And sometimes, they're not going to work out right away. And it's something that we have to rely on those relationships in order to fill a position, 6 months from now, a year from now. So the relationship building, from career fairs to our own career fair that we're having later this month as well. So we have some really good engagement pieces where my team can get out there, and how we're doing that is tied to technology. So there's a lot of great tools out there, a lot of AI tools for recruiting that take away that manual piece. Everything from a scheduling assistant to a text to apply and chat box, that AI takes that manual piece away. So my team can focus on the EI, the emotional intelligence piece. That is something, we can get all the tools and softwares we want, but nothing's going to replace that emotional intelligence. And by bringing in these softwares and these vendors that can help take away that manual piece, my team will be able to elevate the candidate experience by building upon those relationships a lot more. And to your point, they might not be a fit right now, but they might have a friend that does, and they're not going to give us that person unless they had a good experience. So
Well, that's really well thought out. I love you're sowing seeds, you're planting these seeds to build these relationships that might not have an immediate payoff, but they're going to have a long-term payoff as these relationships get built, developed, nurtured, especially with the local universities in town. You mentioned Wingate. That's a great university as well. So those are great ways to go about it. And coming in with the AI and the software to streamline and allow your people, your recruiters to do more of what they do better, but in our candidates to have a better, more, I mean, if the technology is fresh and current, they're going to perceive us as fresh and current. Exactly. And that's what they're going to be, that's what they're going to see other places. So we can't be left behind there. So that's great. How much do you use? We have some of these awards out here. How much do you use, like, hey, we were a chairman's award, or we were a Fast 50, or we're one of the top private companies, or we're one of the best places to work? How much do you use that in your pitch to candidates?
With every candidate, we let them know of at least one award. So, I mean, it's huge. It sets us apart from our competitors, and it shows what, not only a great company we have, but what a great culture it is here, and how great the people are that win these awards. Mm-hmm. So we use them, in our, conversations. We post on social media. Marcoms is great, and they've been helping put together some visuals that we can use for them. So it is a huge piece of what attracts people to Broad River.
And we're always looking to try to elevate our compensation programs in all parts of the organization. And we kind of did a version of profit sharing with our big Thriving Audacious goal, and we hit level 2 bonus payouts for all memory makers last year. We're now doing our Get Elevated goals this year, which are bigger and more payouts. And I like to think we have an elevated comp program at retail for our commissioned associates, and our bonuses, and our GM bonuses, and our HFC bonuses. And then we have something really unique is our career pathing at the HFC level. We love to see our people grow, get recognized, get promoted, earn more income. How much when you're recruiting for retail commissioned associates or bonusable, where there's either pure commission plus bonus or salary plus bonus, how much do you lean into the career pathing or the comp program or the bonus programs? Yeah. And how much is that a differentiator?
Yeah, it's huge. Because what we have found through, some of these programs that HC has been running, such as our persona interviews, we found that, our memory makers that are in retail sales, they're here for the money. They are goal-oriented people. They want to hit their goals. They want to make that money. And they want to know exactly how they're going to make it. So our candidates, yes, we explain kind of how it's set up, because they want to, in the back of their head, they're like, okay, well, if I sell this, then I'm going to make this amount of money so I can pay my bills and have extra. So they're already doing that on the front end. In addition, and they're not done yet, but I know that our team is working on pulling 2022 numbers. That is huge. We've done that in the past to showcase, here's what an average $1 million memory maker, brought home. And that's huge to show people what the potential is at Broad River. And that's not just words anymore. That is us saying, this is what's actual. This is what you can do, what has been done, and what people are doing right now, so you can do it too.
Yeah, it's a spirit of abundance. We all win when we win together. Exactly. So you talked about goals, and you talked about goal-oriented at retail, and you started talking about goals. So now I'm going to go into some of those personal goals, and how are you looking to elevate personally? Because as leaders, we like to go first. We like to lead by example. So what example are you going to set personally in 2023?
Yeah, so this is good timing. So yesterday I signed my contract to go back to Orange Theory.
Nice.
It's been one of my favorite workouts, and I know myself, if I do not pay for a gym membership, I will not go.
I want so badly for other people to be happy. And sometimes that's really hard for me to think about, okay, well, I have to go first.
Continue to stretch myself, yes, in areas that I would not normally stretch.
Like doing a podcast?
Like doing a podcast, yes.
Probably like my one main goal for myself this year is to wake up, go to the gym. I've talked to you before, I'm very sporadic.
So for 2023, for me, it's continuing to be present in the moment, to enjoy the moment, small and big, a gala, or just the little things like somebody getting promoted from HFA to HFC, at home celebrating the small wins with my kids.
And then another big thing for me, and something I really do need to focus on, is being more intentional with my time with my friends and my family. I have been called out multiple times when I'm with them that I'm checking my phone, I'm answering emails. So I have given myself, certain windows where I turn off all notifications, and I put my phone on Do Not Disturb, and I don't check it during that time window so I can be present with my people.
So I've really found giving back to myself, my mind, my body has really helped me as I go forward in 2023 to be able to give other people great experiences and then give back to myself as well.